Test. Test 1, 2, 3. Test audio. Testing. Twitch says I'm live. Testing audio. No video. Testing audio. What? No video. Oh, video's on now. Okay. Checking Kick. Test audio. Test audio. Okay. YouTube. Test audio. Okay. Test audio. Okay. Just make sure the audio's coming through. Okay. Test audio. Okay. Just make sure the audio's coming through. Perfect. Okay. All right, let's get started. So, lots of exciting growth in the channel. Appreciate my followers. Been really blown away by this shorts performance. Quite a few, over 1,000 to 2,000 views, and most of them at least a few hundred. So that's been crazy. Appreciate it, and it's very encouraging for the work that I'm doing here. And I really just enjoy this for fun, so that's great. I wanted to share at the beginning here a little more about myself. I haven't really talked very much about that. I've been focused on the coding side, which we're going to get into today. We're going to do Claude best practices, so reference file best practices. I'll walk through how those work. I've got a little bit of vibing going in the background here while I'm talking. So we'll get into that. So to give a little info on myself, my name's Eli Skinnendor. I was a software architect for both the NFL and Fox. At NFL, I worked on Fantasy Football 2.0 on the back end, and Fox for the first 4K Super Bowl worked on the web player. I'm also the founding CTO of a company called FlyKit, which is the jet lag cure. A little bit about myself there. I was also going to briefly I didn't work at Blizzard for 7 years, but I did work at the NFL and Fox, so hopefully that's some legitimate experience for YouTube. I'm really interested in just sharing some skills and encouraging people who are learning or wanting to get into engineering, or just curious about engineering and AI with how everything's going, to get more involved. The latest Claude work, I believe it's called, that was released today, is pretty wild. That's where you're able to, I think it's called work. It's called something else. Where is it? Y'all probably know what I'm talking about. It's where it can take over your computer and basically automate it all. Entry level jobs. It's going to be really interesting to see. I could see a lot of people being nervous about that. But I do have some thoughts on that. So this is my dev shop, by the way, Insomnia Club. This is the website. I haven't shared it before. It's insomnia.club. My tagline is engineer certainty into moonshot software. And I have some of our core guiding principles that have been basically built through the school of hard knocks, out there building stuff for millions of users, learning what works, learning what doesn't, demos over deadlines, stuff that you learn after doing Agile for 10 years and start finding things that just always work way better than others. So I'm really proud of this site. I had a great design team work on this. And if you want to build an app, you want to build some custom software, I'm your guy, just hit me up, we'll talk. This is, some background on why I started Insomnia Club. So the concept there was that after I had run engineering at a large company, I just would observe so many so-called tech professionals from agencies, people that were titled software engineer, senior software engineer, product manager, project manager, that appeared to have basically no formal training at all from these dev shops. So I decided to start my own. I just wanted to increase the overall quality of what's out there, and it's been the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's definitely been the most rewarding. We're now this trusted dev partner for many companies, startups and brands, startups that are backed by some of the top names currently, even aside from previous ventures I've been in. So been very, very, very fortunate, but also worked really, really hard. I wanted to talk briefly as well on a lot of the noise on X, Twitter X. There's so many people just saying, don't bother learning, don't bother doing any, like, AI is going to replace you, so don't do. And I'm just here to say, don't listen to idiots on X. This is how they want you to feel. This is whenever you see people on X saying, it's like, oh, it's so over. There's no jobs. New grads aren't gonna be able to do anything. AI is gonna replace everything. Just remember this. This is how they want you to feel. Don't listen to them. Lock in, learn AI as much as you can. Learn in it. If you're not in that, learn a trade, learn something. Like, ask ChatGPT what fields can't be replaced by AI. Like, focus on that. Or, like, there's always, if you want to work in software, you want to do these things, you can make apps for yourself. You can learn how to use these things. You can grow as a person, and don't let people that are trying to get attention tell you that you can't learn, you can't get better, or that it's not a good use of time. Like, people are always going to need people to do things. It might be using AI a lot, It might be doing something else. Just don't listen to the fear mongering, please. One interesting example of this, as far as this stuff has come, I have a Lovable story. So a couple days ago, I was helping one of my friends. He wants to make a new e-commerce store for an existing company of his with Lovable, and it needs a Shopify integration, and the Shopify integration needs all the plugins added to it. So we go through, and I'm grinding on, and I'm helping him, and then I just started doing it on my own, and just I've used it quite a bit. I configured everything correctly as far as I'm aware, and then just keep running into, well, we want it on Lovable. Okay, fine. And sooner or later, we just added one little custom thing, and none of the products were populating. And literally for hours, just grinding on why, it would find the store, it would get the products, but then it wasn't doing this second thing it needed to do. And it was just and they're really good, right? But again, like I've said before, Lovable is an abstraction on top of Claude Code. And if you're going to do something custom, you're going to save so much time. Just use Claude Code. Put your requirements in the reference files. I'm going to go through that here for this game, so you can see how to do it. And then you can see what's going on. You can see the consoles. You go on Lovable, you're just log this thing in a UI element so I can see what's going on. And it's wrong because there's a race condition or something, right? It was a grind, and it was miserable. I got almost all of it to work. It was just I just know if I switch this to Claude Code, deployed it through Vercel or Railway or something, I would have been done faster. So it's again, I think we're just stuck on the one shot. It's if it can get it done in an hour or two, great. If you're spending more time, you're just losing the marginal value of it every single hour. Because just export it, export the Lovable code, use Claude Code, and finish the project, and see what, and be able to see what's actually going on. And after a couple hours, it's okay, well, you're gonna spend 10 to 20 more hours and all these credits. They keep like a casino machine. They're 5 more, get your fix. Oh yeah, get 5 more credits. Yeah, okay, now pay us more money. Just it's a nightmare. It works if it's just a marketing site that's mid, go for it. If you just need a mid marketing site, go for it. If you have a design group that's giving you Figmas and they need to be perfect and everything needs to be smooth, Claude Code it. And instead of spending 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours with Lovable, you'll be done in 5 to 6 hours. Totally done. If you had picked Claude Code over Lovable. So pivoting into, or kind of a good segue, on these AI setups, I've been interviewed by, I'll probably get booted off of GLG for saying this, but I was interviewed by Gartner, and I was kind of surprised, not just because it paid so much, but it was just you want to talk to me? Okay. And it was about AI dev tooling and dev tooling trends. And nobody seemed to understand what was going on. It was again, it kind of goes back to the X stuff. There's so much hype and misinformation. People trying to get clicks, people trying to get attention. And it's like, just don't listen to it. Sit down, use Claude Code, learn it. Watch me and just follow along. So after that, I had some CEO came to me. He was basically in tears. He was like, my engineers, they won't use AI, help me. And they wanted to make the code like handcrafted, hand brewed coffee. They're like code purists. Like, and this is a huge problem. There's these engineers that like smell their own farts, and they're like, oh, if this code wasn't written by hand, then it's bad. And this is the disconnect between being an engineer and being a CTO, being a capitalist, being a businessman. If an engineer, say you're running a business, okay? Say you're a coder. It's just common sense, and I don't get why a lot of engineers don't understand this. If an engineer comes to you who like works for you and they say, "Hey boss, great news. I spent 20% of my time last month and I built a custom tool that replaces one of our SaaS products that we're paying $20 a month for." And the guy is like, let's say, or whoever person is like, I don't know, 10,000 a month, 15,000 a month. It's crazy. I mean, even the comps, I've seen some great engineers that are getting paid like $7,000 a month. And then you've got the Amazon L7s that are making like $700,000 a year. Anyways, so say that person comes to you, and then it's like, okay, well, it's like you're a smart person, like you're able to build this thing, you're able to optimize this thing, but you just wasted thousands of dollars, which could have been invested in something that would add greater business value. And this sounds really simple, but this happens all the time. Anyways, so I go through with, all right, I'll talk to your engineers, or I'll present to the company. I'll show, hey, like, this is what's going on. This is how I've incorporated AI in my portfolio companies. This is how much more productive everyone is, and what it's good at, what it's not good at. And they had a fart sniffer, one of the lead engineers. He was like, AI is like, okay, but it's not great at everything yet. It was just like, if you're an engineer, you should care about being the most productive, best version of yourself that you can. And that's what I'm saying. 2026, lock in. Don't listen to people on X. Just learn how to use AI stuff if you like computers. If you like computers, go build boats. Go clean boats. I don't know. Move to Florida. Work on the docks. That's what I would do at this point. I mean, it's a knife fight out there in the software world right now. It's a real knife fight. All right. We need to get to some coding here. But one thing I'm gonna go on one more tangent. The did I resolve the story, the story of the AI stuff? I think, I think what ended up happening there was like everyone was like secretly using some form of it, and then pretending like, oh, this is my code. I like perform. Yeah, I did this, and like made sure that you couldn't really tell, and like the way they were pushing their commits. And then it's like, oh yeah, AI's here. Yeah, I'll use the AI. It's like I feel like that is incredibly prominent in the industry right now. Like just people getting by with the bare minimum they have to do. And that's why you need a CTO. This company didn't have one. And you people are like, why are CTOs expensive? It's like they like quadruple or more your dollars for how much productivity you get in terms of code output. AI doesn't change that. Unless the CTO does not know how to use the AI tooling, then he doesn't. Or the person doesn't, he or she or whoever. Speaking of the capitalism, like being a productive engineer in an organization, it's fascinating to me that you're really only like I don't know if this is the right word, but first class citizen in America if you have a business, which typically most of the people who do have an LLC. And there's this really amazing book called The Unincorporated Man. It's derivative of a few other books, I think Snow Crash and some others. And it's kind of a weird book, but it just focuses on one singular concept in futurism, which is incorporation of the individual. Let me make sure my audio is still working. Yep. And the concept is if when you're born you're incorporated and the government gets a percentage of it, your family, and then you have the ability to like buy back more of your own shares. And it's really interesting how in today's world, kind of everybody gets a cut of what you're doing. Like a lot of different. It's like more. It's more than the government now. It's like, or like taxes. It's like there's all these other implicit taxes or explicit taxes that are incorporated, and the nuance between incorporating an individual incorporating themselves and say like a social credit score is actually a really important distinction. I'm not saying this is something that should be done. It's just interesting to think that a lot of people in America have businesses, and you can read the trends that more people are becoming entrepreneurs than ever before. So this is happening like real time. And it's a common concept in futurism that if we have AI doing most of the work and integration between systems and services and products that we need, then like imagine an Amazon Prime that does and gets you whatever you need without even thinking about it. Then there's not as much work to do. Robots are doing a lot of the manufacturing, and people don't really need to build software as much. They just sit around and get entertained, or they go off into the woods. I don't know what they're going to do. But this concept of, like, if there isn't like an accountability mechanism, like say on a blockchain or something like that, whether it's universal basic income or it's incorporation. I like incorporation better than social credit score because it's still capitalist and it's democratic. And most productive individuals have already opened their own business. Like now, it's a huge trend right now. You can do a basic Google search and you can see the filings of businesses. It's an interesting time, and a lot of stuff in futurism. I don't know, Star Trek, whatever. Some of those things come to fruition, and you don't really know which ones they are. But I've waxed on long enough here. So I've got some. So we're working on Florida Man World. We got to get this. We got to get this thing running. Let me open Xcode. This is a late, for those joining, this is a late coding session. It's almost 1 a.m. That's right, we have to fix the controls on the left. So, we're going to go through and cover the Claude best practices. So, I've got this shared in the screen. So, this is what you do. Right now, we should have two things. Which folder are we in here? Are we in? So we're in the parent directory. One sec. Let me make sure. Oh, it looks like we've got a front-end design Claude Code plugin. That sounds helpful. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that is what I thought. Yeah, let's try adding the plugin. Okay, since we're doing a bunch of HTML, CSS stuff, let's see if there's any plugins that we could use. And this is not setting up the reference files. This is just adding a plugin. So our problem is we need to get, we want to vibe code this, so we've got to get these tools or the reference files set up so that we can really work on this game. Because I know it can figure it out. We just need to set up the reference files correctly. Claude is Clauding. Phaser has an MCP server. I don't really need. I don't really want the drag and drop. I don't really care as much. Maybe we'll get into that at some point. Let's do the reference files. So this is the best way to do it. So add all Claude reference files that follow Claude Code latest best practices for this specific project, including .claude files and the claude.md in the parent directory or root directory. While that's running, I had an engineer ask me about skills, Claude skills. So with skills, when one is kicked off, you got to remember it's going to have a much smaller percentage of context window available to it. So it's good for like researching one-off tasks here, things like that. If you're working on a code base where everything is using pretty standard libraries that Claude has a lot of training data on, does well on, can fit within the existing reference files, it's all the same thing. I think the thing that people don't really understand is that every request, these things go, so the things in the .claude folder and the claude.md file in the root directory, they go to the AI and tokenized every single time. So I'm going to show my preferred setup, which is all dependent on the project structure. So if you have like a really crazy technical architecture, you're going to want an architecture.md file in your .claude directory. You're going to want one for your database. It just depends. It depends is the key. There's no use every single thing and then like, oh, maybe I should use this. Like, no, just use Claude best practices. And if it should use skills, Claude is most likely going to know anyway. So we're adding the settings, which is like the stuff it's allowed to do, and those are rules. We're adding a rules folder. Settings.json stores the permissions, like what can Claude do, what can't Claude do. It sounds crazy if you don't have this, right? Already. It would be crazy to not have that. That's why some engineers are like, it just reverted code. I don't know what it did. I don't know where it went. It's because you didn't have this set up. So we've got some good stuff in here. This is phaserdevelopment.md. This is great. And it knows this because I had it in the Claude file. With Phaser specifically, you really want to not put anything in update. I mean, you can put the FPS tracker, but the update method runs every single frame. So if you put any listeners or anything that calls other stuff in there, it's going to quickly bog down your memory. So you're always you're best off hooking off of the create method and the methods, the 4 core methods in Phaser. And we'll go through those once we finish these files. Now we've got mobile development. So this is going to add all that context of what it's learned through all this grinding of getting this running. So we don't need to go back and train it. If somebody wants to spin this up, it'll just spin up right away, given they follow all the instructions. We're setting the code styles so that it's consistent. We don't get linting errors, other things like that. I guess we could add the MCP. Why not? I saw there's a new library I saw recently where Claude Code connects into Blender through MCP server. You can actually just design 3D things, very complex 3D models, just talking to Claude Code. Yeah, they aren't. The MCP servers aren't installed, but we've got it in there if we want it. Okay, so this is the new structure. We have our CloudMD file, project memory, which we want. We have, move this over. Comprehensive project memory, which is CloudMD. We've got our MCP, we have our settings, our phaser rules, mobile capacitor rules, and code style rules. So we can continue to add to those as we need them. That's a pretty decent start. Sometimes I really like to have a like adding new features one, but the game engine is so kind of nuanced in how we want to do it that I'm not worried about that as much. Commit the new Claude config files. We're going to push these changes up. Or is it better to we may want to just make the controls part of the scene. Yeah, so we're going to move them into the phaser game. We'll see if it one-shots it. So we're going to go into planning mode. While we're waiting for that to work, let's spin up another agent. Explain the scene management phaser 3. So this is really key to learning phaser, and that's the core lifecycle methods. The constructor obviously constructs the game scene. You extend phaser scene interface to instantiate a game scene object. You can initialize it with anything that's there on load. you can preload assets. This is where you preload images, audio, etc. Create is where you set up your game objects, physics, and input handlers. So in create, that's where you map the images that you loaded in preload or any assets, 3D models, music, whatever. Assign them to the game objects, the sprites, etc. And you also keep all of your input handlers there. So like your controls, left, right, up, down, click, spacebar, or tap, however you have it on mobile. And you keep them all in there. You never put anything in update. Update will run every frame and destroy the performance of your game. So you never put controls in there. You nothing. You basically do most of your coding in create, and it calls stuff that calls stuff that calls stuff, right? Because it's all callbacks. You can pass data between scenes. You can have parallel scenes. You can sleep scenes. You can stop them. So it separates the states. So you can see we're creating a new controls manager. Let's go up. This is a good idea. I really don't want to mess with the HTML stuff on like Android versus iOS. I'd rather just have it be a bundle because we can do that. It'll be simpler that way. So we're doing is up, mobile controls, keyboard or mobile. That's good. Smart, very smart. Now we need to add the handle turning support. So this would plug directly into the controls we already have. I've already done the hard part. So you can see it's just replacing what the turning is calling instead of the actual calculations and things. That took a ton of work without Claude's help. It's like a year or two ago. Claude is really just now at the point where it could like ship my game, bundle it up in an app, and we can make it all happen. It's really like the last couple months it's gotten that good. It's alright, it's getting a little aggressive with those, but I'll give it I'll trust it for now. Got adding the controls for bar interior, that's smart. The last video when we tested it, it's not there. The bar controls weren't in mobile, so that's great that it caught it. It means the reference files we set up are good. It's crazy how Claude used to struggle on these tasks literally just a couple months ago. And now it just knocks it right out. We're going to remove the index or the HTML controls. All right, we're building. Okay, let's cross our fingers. Okay. Promising, promising. Looks like taps. The taps. I click the left button, it clicks the right button, so maybe it's just offset. Yes. So that's there. And then the controls. Rocket works. Okay. So clicking to the left of each of the D-pad buttons initiates them. They don't work when I click them directly. I think I want to move the controls on this side, like out of this scene, so we may have to extend the scene or have separate scenes. It should just be within the same scene, but it should be an easy fix. Can't tweak it as easily like we could with CSS real time. We do have to rebuild when we do this. This is interesting. I'm thinking. Rocket button works, right? Let's try it again. Okay. Does it work when I hit the blue area? Outer blue area on either side. give it a screenshot. We're going to move the controls off of the bundle itself. Meaning this is a JavaScript, a phaser bundle, this square, where the animated procedurally generated road appears. No, I still like the idea of the controls within it. See, it's trying to go back to the HTML controls, so we should add a reference, some information in a reference file to stop it from trying to do that. To use the HTML controls, add that to the appropriate reference files so you don't suggest that again, and just make the scene wider for the controls, but keep the current aspect ratio of the game scene. Yeah, see, now it's in the reference files. It won't ask to do that again. I think that's right. This is also just really interesting to see how well, like, the limits here, what it can do. Like, can you add controls to a working game? Can you do that? Can you do that? All right. This, I feel like I could have gotten it done faster doing it myself, which is an interesting learning. Maybe. Definitely would you have to use a lot more brain power. You are changing a lot of stuff, buddy. I see why. I probably should have used plan mode, but I guess we'll see. Drum roll. When you remove that R to restart. Okay. I'm not hating it. Kind of liking it. The button offset is still an issue. It's weird. It's like when I click on the edge, it works. Let's see what it looks like if I use, just to see. That actually looks kind of cool wider, doesn't it? It's actually quite pleasing, actually. How am I not remembering how to restart my own game? Score negative 350. Does the... Does it mess up the procedural gen? Like it puts trees in the road, that's the problem. Because it's all kind of self-contained. So we need to shrink it back. So we're gonna revert it, and then we're gonna do plan mode. It's gonna work better. I like. Let's see. Yeah, to 800. 800, 600. We're in the 90s. Yeah, it was doing some weird. That's right. Yeah, dot interactive for the sprite is better. It's using those other weird methods. That's a documentation reference issue. I need to fix more high level, but let's try it out. It's the right width. It's not centered anymore though. Yeah, I can pull up the trees. Forgot about that. That's kind of an issue. Gives a longer center on screen. When I click to the left of the debug buttons, they trigger, not when I tap them directly. Put together a plan to keep 800, 600 dimensions centered and overlay a scene on either side for the controls. I really think we just need to organize the scene better. Yes, we can enter plan mode. Square buttons, I don't know. We definitely don't like those, but it's going to read some API docs. Finally, you're reading the docs like I've been telling you to. Yeah, I think a concurrent scene would be the way to go, the multi-scene. That way we can just have them next to each other, or just two. Depends what it's going to want to do. And it's useful, like, once I get these reference files set up right, this will be really valuable, because I can reuse the Claude reference file template for other games. So, in terms of like a game factory model, this is good. Okay, so we have a plan, and we're going to create a mobile control scene. I like that idea. So the problem is the game is not centered on the screen after the changes. Touch input is offset, and controls need to overlay the game without breaking the input. So it's likely caused by the hit area having coordinate translation issues with set scroll factor 0. Could be other things going on there. There's some more. The proposed solution is create a dedicated mobile controls scene that runs in parallel with game scene using scene launch, has its own input handling isolated from game scene, uses event.stop propagation to prevent input leaking, and 4 communicates with game scene via scene events or direct reference. It's way better than doing like a HTML CSS thing. So this is good. This is, if there's like multiple steps you're doing, plan mode is useful for this, and you trigger it by just using the word plan somewhere in your prompt. Make a plan to, say make a plan to insert thing you want to do. All right, build and test. Got a bundle error. Yeah, class definition has to be before config. That's in the game.js, which is, these are all those lifecycle methods we talked about with the create. It's a big one. It's like 3,200 lines. There's the build. Delete the logs. Yeah, we're going to need two different scenes, the left scene and the left controls and the right controls. That's what I thought it was doing, but it wasn't, so. So we're going to increase the canvas to a total size so that we've still got the 800 by 600, 800 width, 600 height, and then fill up the remaining pixels with the two different left and right scenes for the controls. Now it's transitioning all the controls, the control event listeners. Let's try it. Yes, this is great. Yep, this is getting closer. There's still a controls offset issue. The controls are loading in a separate scene now. The buttons on the right work. There's also this white line. I wonder if that's a clue. Where's my debug? Well, let's just see. The game is still too wide though. I should have said the game scene is too wide, but the game is too wide. What do the controls look like in the bar here? Like P is park? What? Did it change that? It changed it. See what it did. Try again. Still that weird offset. It's also it's too wide. Something's off with the viewport. I think it's the fit. I need to finalize which one we're going to do and then leave it. I'm just gonna keep grinding this. This is gonna be really boring. Not really have much to talk about, so I'm gonna get this fixed, and once I get this fixed, I'll do the next video.